How's it going, everybody? I'm back in Fallout 4 again at Starlight Drive-In outside Red Rocket, but this is actually just a rebuilt settlement. I'm going to be rebuilding it. The first half I'm just be doing floor by floor of my previous build, and so all I'm doing here is I'm lining up these warehouse walls with this upper area, and you can see it's lined up pretty well. So then I go ahead and pick which walls I would like to use, which I wanted a open one. I didn't know if I wanted a window or not, but I went ahead and went with this. And then I went ahead and just used a regular warehouse wall right here. I don't know why it took me so long to figure out which one to use. I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, which one should I use? And then I end up just using one of the scrappy ones. And I jump up here, and then I knew that I wanted the second floor to be pretty even with this upper floor. So to kind of fill this in, I just went ahead and started filling in the gaps and stuff, and you can see it lines up right up with the warehouse walls. That's why I lined that bottom floor up with the upper foundation that I had. So, like I said, my idea for this came from an old build that I just did a video on. And my idea for that build was actually just Rivet City. So, like, when you walk in the front of the ship, the market area is just like this huge open room. It's a lot bigger than this, obviously. It's a freaking aircraft carrier, but no, I got my inspiration from that. Fallout 3 is like my favorite game, like ever. I loved that game. The story, the gameplay, everything about it. It was fantastic to me. And so, a lot of my ideas come from things in that game. And right here I'm just trying to mix up the floors that I use and make it look a little bit different rather than just one texture all the way across. And so now I'm gonna board off this side, board up this side, and close it off because I want it to kind of be a walkway down. And then I realized that this doesn't glitch, or this doesn't clip on because of that warehouse wall. And I'm looking to make sure that I didn't repeat the same thing. I don't want it to just be a mirror. You'll notice that it doesn't end up being really a mirror. And I try to do that. I'm going to try to do that with the entire build. And so right here, I'm just moving it down. I like to put them in this order, and you guys will notice that a lot. I like to do the plywood wall, the one that's like half plywood with the wire fence, and then the wooden wall, because the textures kind of blend a little better that way. And then right here I'm trying to decide where I'm going to have my second floor stop, and then just roofs start. And so right there was me trying to figure it out. And then I decide that these corners are going to be just regular roofs. And I mess with this for a little bit, trying to figure out which walls I'd like to use. And I end up thinking I'm going to use those, but you'll notice that I change later. And then right here it's me seeing if I can get those, or what those will look like up there later. So, right now, I'm just filling in all of this space. And closing off this roof. And this part is just pretty simple. I just went through and I boarded up a lot of the build, put some stairs, and then I really wanted to use these stairs because I wanted to have it all the way across that gap in the front hallway, and this is like 2 floors wide, so I was really pleased with how this turns out. You can see it kind of glitches through down there with that that warehouse floor, but I don't really care because it kind of blends in with the foundation. Doesn't look bad. And then on this side, I wanted to close this up, so I just went ahead and used a fence, and I placed it in there. So this next part, I'm just adding a couple little bit of pieces to make it look a little bit more interesting. And I decided to change these floors out, actually, because I decided to use a pier piece because it snaps right into the floor. It clips right through, so I figured that it would make the texture of the floor look a little bit different. Since we don't have pieces like that to use, I thought that it was a little interesting. It looked a little bit different compared to the rest of the floor. And over here, I knew that I wanted to close this side off, but I didn't want to just have warehouse all the way around. So on this side, I actually went ahead and used the half shack walls on the lower half of the floor, or the lower half of the wall, and then just snapped in a shack wall on top. It just clips straight to the roof. And then on the other side, I did the same thing. You'll notice that's gone because I couldn't get that wall in. And now it's back, if you guys can see it, whenever I kind of look that direction. But now, you'll notice that in my last video, I had a really big open area so that you could kind of see out into the settlement. And I kind of wanted to do the same thing again. And with this build, I think I mentioned it in one of my Abernathy farm builds that I kind of wanted to do this settlement as my level 4 traders place. I wanted to have my level 4 traders here. And then so there won't be as many stores, but they'll kind of be elaborate, so there'll be a lot of decoration. I'll probably do that in a separate video so I can kind of walk you guys through my decoration, because I told you guys a long time ago I would do that and I never did, so I want to kind of do that for you guys since I told you I would. And then I decided that I would break this up a little bit, and I went to the Barns tab, and with USO you can get unpainted barn pieces, and I think that they look awesome because they kind of blend in with stuff, but at the same time they look different and not quite so bright like the red barn pieces. And so I also went ahead and used a roof from the barns. And on this side, to match up the roof with the top of this piece, I went ahead and got the tall outer cap. I don't know exactly where these are used in the game, but they don't snap to pieces. You have to kind of clip them on, and I just get them just right on the side of this, and then put some half shack walls on both sides to board up the sides of this. And the next thing that I'm going to be doing is going outside and actually placing a shack bridge down so that I could snap the shack bridge that is plywood underneath it to make it not look so much like it's floating. And then I go ahead and put a railing on that, and then I go back inside, and I decided that I kind of wanted to board up the windows a little bit. Not quite board them up, but make them look at least a little bit more protected. And so I opted to use the fence, and since it's got the little fence post in the bottom, it'll actually let me place it up on here. And the next thing that I decided to do was obviously use junk walls to kind of fill in all of the huge gaps on the bottom of the whole structure, because you'll notice it's just a lot of foundations that you can see, and then also I think it looks a lot better once you have all of these pieces in. And you'll notice that this structure is pretty boxy, but honestly, like, I tried to avoid boxy structures, but I think this actually looks really good when it's finished. It looks a lot more like I kind of had imagined whenever I tried to build this the first time. I think this actually looks really cool, and I think it's a really good idea for Starlight Drive-In. So another thing that I noticed whenever I was building is it's kind of hard to snap the floors close enough to the actual screen, like the drive-through screen. And right here, all I'm going to do is use this shipping container, and I'm going to use it as a support and also kind of to block off a little bit of that inside that you can't actually get into because it's too short of a area. The roof is too low to actually walk in there, so it kind of closes off that space so that settlers can't actually really get stuck there. But I think that I got it close enough, like back to what I was saying with the floors and the drive-through screen. I think I got it close enough to where it actually looks like it's right up on it. The roofs and the walls, you'll notice, I think, sometimes that they kind of glitch through, but it's not that bad. It kind of just looks like it's part of the build, and I think that actually looks a lot better than anything else I probably could have done. In my first settlement, I didn't really go through that too much and show you the gap, but it's actually really huge. Like, there's a huge gap between the drive-through screen and like where I was building. And then what I'm doing here is I'm going to use those two warehouse pieces. I was going to close the gap up over here, but I decided that I could probably do something different over there. And then since it's such a small piece, I can actually just use it right here. I wanted to make it go straight up against the shipping container, but it actually wouldn't fit. So I made it go right up against the end of the shipping container. And so in USO, in the warehouse tab, you'll actually find pieces that are blue and orange types of the warehouse tab pieces. And they kind of look like they have the textures of the box cars. But I wanted to use those because I like the color, it being kind of different, breaking up all the brown and the gray, pretty much, because that's what a majority of this build is. And so I just got rid of one of the half walls and fit it right in. And also, forgot to mention, I was going to mention this, I realized that it got dark at about 10:30 in this video. Yeah, I don't really ever notice whenever I'm building. I try to pay attention. That's why sometimes you'll notice like jump cuts and all of a sudden it's day. But in my game, I can still see everything. The brightness is high enough to where I can see what's going on, but I realize that not everyone can, and I try to be good about having good lighting while I build, so that not only can I see better, but the people watching can see what I'm building. But the huge gap on the right side between the junk walls on the front, I decided to fill in with some just wire fence or chain link fence, because I wanted people still to be able to get underneath, because I think that I want to do something with the underneath, kind of do like a little shanty area, little small, like tiny rooms that have like a bed in it maybe. I'm not 100% sure about that, but we'll see. We'll see where I go with it. I still have to kind of think about what I want to do with the build overall. And I think that I want to put a Super Duper Mart sign on this build because I want it to have a huge sign that you can see forever away and to let people know that it's like a place where they can trade. And with CVA, they added a lot of signs. There's a section just with tons of sign options. But right here, I'm just glitching in. I'm pillar glitching in the other fence that I didn't do earlier. And then just doing another junk fence on the other side to kind of finish this up. So I get it in eventually. And there it is. So full tour right here. And as you can see, I think it still looks really good compared to what I had built previously without mods, and then with what I have available now, I think I'm able to build like incredible structures. I mean, this is pretty boxy, like I said, but I think despite it being like a huge square, it still looks really good. Like this side right here, I think looks awesome with the or with the chain link fences and all that stuff. The blue warehouse pieces kind of break up the brown textures and the gray textures. And just, I think that this actually turned out way better than I really expected it to. This kind of does bother me right here, and I think I may put a junk fence down over one of those sides so that it doesn't look like the same texture. But as of right now, I'm just going to leave it. I might do that before I finish the settlement, or before I finish this part of the build at least. And so, as I said, I wanted this to be a huge open room, and I think it looks awesome. My ideas are to have like a couple stores on each side, and then the next time I'm going to be doing the second floor, which I think I'll have bedrooms and then like little entertainment rooms, stuff like that. And then the third floor will be a bar or bars or something like that. But those will be coming here pretty soon. Let me know what you guys think. Check out some of my other videos. And yeah, thanks for all the support recently. It's been great. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.